Peeps, it's your good buddy Rue here, back from a pretty long hiatus to discuss my favorite thing in the whole world that doesn't really involve doing anything. Comic books. It's been a while since I talked to you, and that's more on me than on anybody else because I flaked out and just kind of did other things. But since then, since the last time we spoke, I've been trying out some things that normally I wouldn't have based on, for whatever reason, new number ones instead of trade waiting, limited series, writers I didn't like, characters I didn't care about. I've been trying out a whole bunch of new things, basically because I keep forgetting to take my pills and I'm manic and I buy things I really, really shouldn't. But here, hoping against hope, I got these things hoping I would like them, and some of them succeeded, and we'll get to those at the end, but some didn't, and that's where we're going to start. Dark Avengers number 184. Yes, this book has been on my pull list. This isn't really, I guess, new to me ever since it was called Thunderbolts. I love the Thunderbolts. I enjoyed all of them. When Jeff Parker, who is the reason I didn't really want to pick this up, came on board, I kept to the Thunderbolts out of loyalty to the characters, which I know is a fanboy thing to do, and I really shouldn't, but I'm actually kind of glad I did. Eventually, I grew to like what he was doing with the characters, and I accepted it. But I never knew if that was because I liked the characters or if I was growing to like Jeff Parker. So I kept with the book once all the characters I really liked, except for Moonstone, left, and I'm left with Dark Avengers, and I do not give a crap about anything going on in this comic. I have no idea who these characters are. These weird evil doppelgangers, a brother, some sort of eight-legged thing. Maybe he's from whatever that was back in the day with the Spider Ganger, but he doesn't even look like that. I really don't know who any of these people are outside of Moonstone and Clore, and I don't care about Clore, and Moonstone is not enough to save this. Well, I know who Son of Hulk is, but every single time he was given as a book, it was stupid. Basically, I'm taking this off my pull list, and I'm actually keeping a running tally during this episode of +1, -1 for pull list. Right now, pull list is at -1 because I really... Now we're in an alternate dimension, right on the heels of Thunderbolts' jumps through time. So now, a boatload of alternate time realities in one book with a bunch of characters who now I don't care about. Again, that's an easy -1. Avengers number 1 and New Avengers number 1. Well, Avengers 1 and 2 and New Avengers. Apparently my dog wants me, but I'm going to have to go ahead and ignore him. Thor, come down here or shut up. Both of these books sucked. It's Hickman. I don't get the hype. Every single Hickman book I've ever read is basically the same thing. You have this mystery that is never really clearly defined. It ends with probably the most shocking news ever of creation, and it's going to shake whatever universe, whatever knowledge base, whatever team you're on to the core. And I never keep interest long enough to get to the end of the mystery. Avengers beats out New Avengers basically because of the team. Cannonball and Sunspot have always been, they're awesome. I got into comics basically because of X-Force number 1, and I've gone back and reread all the old New Mutants. But other than just those two characters, I don't care. Avengers number 1 was basically giant-size X-Men number 1 with a little bit of the original 1963, 2, 4, whatever Avengers thrown in there because Hulk is taken over by some omnipotent being who this time just happens not to be Loki. It's the same stupid story. Blah, blah, blah. Team gets captured. Go get a new team to go save the old team. That's Giant Size X-Men number 1. New Avengers number 1 was... I can't tell you what it was. It was Hickman at his Hickmaniest with all of his cliches. And halfway through the book, I dreaded the option of keep reading. Avengers is tentatively on my wait for trade list. New Avengers is completely gone. If you want a more in-depth look at New Avengers... in the YouTube description will be a link to a review I wrote. And if you're watching this on the Outhouses or anywhere else, I'll put the link in the text. Or just take my word for it. Neither of these books are really worth it. They're boring, and that's now -3 books from my pull list. Swamp Thing Volume 1, Raise Them Bones. Okay. Anybody who has watched any of these, or anybody who knows me from the Outhousers, or has listened to any of the Outhouses Pirate podcasts, knows I love me some Scott Snyder. I did not avoid this thing because of Scott Snyder, and I did not avoid this because of Swamp Thing. I avoided this because of the eventual crossover with Animal Man. Eventually, I read this book hoping that it was strong enough and good enough to make me willing to deal with Jeff Lemire's Animal Man. And my God, it was. I read this book in one sitting. Something was on that I really should have been paying attention to on the TV, and I just didn't care. Actually, I ended up rewatching the episode on my DVR because I was so soaked into this. I'm not really... the only thing I'm familiar with from Swamp Thing is Alan Moore's initial run and the next trade after that. And basically, kind of like the whole freaking thing, Vertigo. Like, you have Mark Millar, Grant Morrison, a whole bunch of other people writing Swamp Thing eventually. How is this not something you think would sell? Oh, well, you just fired. Karen Berger's gone, so Vertigo, I'm not really expecting you to make any sense right now, so sorry about that little rant. But seriously, this was good enough. It was slow, but worth the slowness. This was good enough and strong enough to make it worth reading and risking. Animal Man Volume 1, The Hunt, by Jeff Lemire. I don't like Jeff Lemire. He's a nice guy. I've actually interacted with him a couple times on Twitter. I have nothing against his fans, something against what he does, because not everything needs to taste like chicken, and I'm not fanboy enough to think everybody needs to like what I like. I've tried Essex County, I tried Superboy, Sweet Tooth, The Nobody, all this other crap, and I did not like any of them. Lemire seems to write in this hipsterish style that I'm either too old or not cool enough to understand or get, and that's fine. Again, whatever. Up to and including Animal Man, I've not really enjoyed any of his books enough for me to spend money on them. Animal Man was actually pretty good. Like, for Jeff Lemire and for comparing anything to Grant Morrison's run, Animal Man was actually pretty good. I can't stand. I don't like this art. I'm sorry. I think that it's too close to being realistic. It's actually just creepy weird. It's not creepy porno like Greg Land, but Travel Foreman? Travel, that's his name. No, I'm going to keep reading this from the library. Libraries are great ways to not steal comics that you want to try or probably won't like. But I'm not going to spend money on it. I'm going to keep reading it as long as I need to understand what's going on in Swamp Thing. The problem is, I'm a fanboy. I'm an anal fanboy who does not like having incomplete stories on either my trade shelves or my floppies, which means I'm going to keep getting Swamp Thing from the library. I'm not going to buy this because if I have to buy this, I have to buy this. This might not make sense to anybody out there who's not really a collector or a fanboy or whatever you want to call us, but it makes perfect sense to me. I buy enough Scott Snyder books. I don't think he's going to miss out on a boat payment because I'm not buying Swamp Thing, but this doesn't do anything for my pull list. It's a push, so we're still at -3 for the pull list. But I am on the waiting list at the library for Volume 2 of both of those. End Times of Bran and Ben. One of my new rules, besides not picking up books by people I don't like and characters I don't like because I don't want to waste my money, is not to pick up limited series. Like, it's 4 issues. Wait for the trade. This is one of 4, so I broke that rule. But my boy, Royal Nonsuch, I don't know how you really say his screen name, and I guess I could start learning people's real names, but that's not going to happen, wrote a damn good review of this for the Outhousers, which again will be linked up in the discussion, in the description, or what here. I'll provide links to these more in-depth reviews that really sold this to me, and so I went out and I bought it, and this came out this week. That was a really good decision on my part. Thank you, Royal. This is trade weight. Obviously, it's 1 through 4. This doesn't do anything for my pull list count. I don't know if this is going to end up being like Luther Strode or Jake Ellis, volume after volume after volume. And if it does, if 1 through 3, if 2 through 4 are as strong as this, I will buy those trades. This is a new to me, funny take on the apocalypse, maybe. What basically this deals with, of course, those Left Behind, and I've never read any Left Behind books, so I don't know if this is actually that point either, but what's funny about this, besides just the humor and 2 best friends and these guys knowing how to write real-life friends, not comic book friends, is that, by definition, the people left after the Rapture probably won't believe it's the Rapture. They'll try to find a scientific explanation, aliens or whatnot, and so it's an interesting take on something that in any other bit of fiction I've ever read about the apocalypse was a given, and I really do like that. This is definitely a wait for trade. It might even depend if hardback is actually offered in this from Image. I probably will get the hardback. I really look forward to this. Who is it? Sorry, James Amos. I'm sorry, Asmus, a friend of the Outhousers. Jim. I can't pronounce these names, so there you go. Over here. These guys created something awesome, and I cannot wait to see what they do with it. Star Wars #1. Dark Horse 2013. I have no idea how many volumes of Star Wars there have been. This comic breaks so many of my rules. It's a new #1 that I'm not trade waiting for because I really need to cut back on my monthlies, which obviously I'm already down to minus 3. It takes place during the original trilogy or even the 6 movies, which I tend to stay away from because personally, I just don't like reading things that happen inside of the stories where I know what's going to happen. Stephen King's went through the Keyhole, the Dark Tower book, this, a lot of the Clone Wars stuff that is offered in novels and comic book form. I'm just not interested in this. Why did I pick this up? 2 words. Brian Wood. DMZ, Northlanders, X-Men, Local, everything I've ever read by this guy, I have loved. And that's enough for me to pick up this. And take away that I know stuff that Luke doesn't, that Leia's his sister and Darth Vader's his father, and if you don't know that, why, shut up. Don't bitch to me about that spoiler. That actively annoys me when reading this, that I know more than the characters. I like reading things where I'm basically as dumb as the characters in a mystery. But this was damn good. Wood turns Leia into a badass. Luke isn't whiny. Initially, when I finished this book, I was like, sweet, wait for trade, along with all my other Star Wars books, which I don't think you can see. I have Dawn of the Jedi upstairs. I'll talk about that in a future episode. Knights of the Old Republic is actually not as bad as people said it was. I really, really liked Legacy. I'm getting into the novels again. I was like, trade wait. But the more I think about it, screw it. I need to get away from my anal need for everything to be in the same format, and this is a damn good way to do it. +1 for the pool list. As I was writing this up, I went to DCBS and added it to my pool list. I really, really enjoyed this. It's not going to last too long since Disney bought Star Wars, and Star Wars is going to Marvel. I don't know what the plan is, but I really, really enjoyed that comic. And if you like Star Wars, if you've never done anything outside the movies, pick this up. Again, it takes place right in the middle. You don't need to know anything that you don't already know. Finally, Avengers Aerna. Again, a new #1 where I'm not trade waiting, but this totally won out because of morbid curiosity. This here is the cover to #3. Yes, it looks just like the Hunger Games. #1 looked just like Battle Royale. #2 looked just like Lord of the Flies. They know it's basic. I'm not going to use the word ripoff because in story it's an homage. They actually, Arcade says that. Get off your high horse. Because, okay, I'm going to actually skip to the end of what I wrote up here. If you didn't see Hunger Games, not because it didn't interest you, not because you don't like violence towards children, not because it's just you think it's for kids and you just have no interest, but if you didn't watch it or read it because it's a rip-off of Battle Royale, which a Japanese movie, which was a ripoff of The Running Man, which was a ripoff of Lord of the Flies, which was a ripoff of this, which was a ripoff of that. But Battle Royale gets the pass because it's Japanese, and to nerds, Japanese is the end-all, be-all, and it doesn't matter where they get their ideas from. Anything that even remotely looks like Japanese automatically sucks. Magnificent Seven, 12, was it 12? The Ring. I think 12 Monkeys was French, so who really cares? But then don't bother reading this. If you want to be or are a stereotypical teenage girl who writes for Tumblr, don't bother. If you take stuff way too seriously or have this thing where Hawaiians are black, so when they killed this character, they killed a black guy or whatever, or if just this personal dogma, so far left liberal that you can't take anything funny, don't bother. Actually, first get a life and don't bother. But if you just... This is emotional. This is drama. This actually makes Arcade a badass, and Darkhawk is what he should be. This is a good comic. This really is. It builds up tension. You don't know what's going to happen. The little tosses of humor that are thrown in to ease the tension do a very good job. Again, Arcade is a badass, which it only took, what, 30-plus years for someone to know how to write them. This is awesome. My theory is Arcade has an infinity gem, but I'm always wrong about things like that. Pick it up. Don't bitch about something you haven't read. This seriously, I'm amazed at how much I liked this book and how good it was. Good job, Hopeless. So that's it for now. Next time, the crapness that is now Thunderbolts, Black Beetle Zero, Aquaman, and a whole bunch of others, including something I probably already talked about. Again, a bunch of review links will be in the description of YouTube or in the text here at the Outhousers. Facebook, Twitter, Outhousers, you can find me anywhere. I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Later, peeps.